Hey everybody, this is a great Super Bowl and a Super Bowl that I hate to say it, but it really did sort of it went according to plan. And in a sense, and I remember went running around or so walking around South Beach and talking to people um, about who they thought the victor was going to be, and a number of people said Kansas City. Of course, there were also Kansas City supporters. There were a lot of Kansas City people there, a lot, and something else too while it's on my mind before I forget to note it. The official attendance record was 62,417 people. That's the fewest number that have attended a Super Bowl since Super Bowl one. And some are going to make an issue about that and say, well, that demonstrates some, you know, indication of the lack of popularity of the game or something like that. Nothing could be further from the truth. What it is an indication of is a direction that a number of people in sport have believed Super Bowl game should go, and in the NFL in general, and that is toward a smaller audience, yet maintaining a higher ticket price. And this year's Super Bowl game, the ticket price face value was higher by $100 than it was for Atlanta or some time. And you had fewer seats. So in Atlanta for the game here, the attendance was about 75,000. This game was 10,000 fewer. In fact, let me double check that. So I'm going to type Atlanta Super Bowl attendance um, because the Georgia Dome, excuse me, the Georgia Dome is destroyed. The Mercedes-Benz Dome, yeah, here it is. The Mercedes-Benz Dome has um, was designed to have more. Hey, Donuts, how are you? It was designed to have more seats. Okay, and so the Super Bowl attendance in 2019 um, was said to be. Excuse me, I'm getting the number right here right now. Uh, 70. Well, they said the criteria is 75, 75. So I'm looking for the official count here. And let me scroll down, see if I can get an official count. Yeah, 70,081 fans. So 70,081 fans for the Super Bowl in Atlanta. Um, Now I can guarantee you the Super Bowl in Los Angeles will be more. I'll predict they'll probably release 75 to 80,000 for that one. But by and large, the drive has been to have smaller attendance. So this is that. So the 62,000 in attendance for the Super Bowl in Miami is no indication of the unpopularity of the game. It's simply an indication. It is, well, let me say something though. One moment, please. It is an indication that we're in a new media environment, a smartphone environment, and in a number of cases, people would rather watch something on their phones than try to be somewhere. It's a generational change, and so in order to adjust for that, the talk has been for the last 10 years of having smaller, more intimate venues. Like, for example, the Raiders Stadium is only 65,000 with an option to expand to 70,000. So more than likely, you'll see something like what you saw in Mercedes-Benz Dome again whenever Las Vegas gets a Super Bowl, which I believe is going to happen at some point. Okay. So, but let's focus on this Super Bowl game. Of course, the Chiefs did win 31-20. And let's take a look at the Super Bowl records that were tied or Super Bowl records that were set. And basically, here they are. Super Bowl records set, most rushing yards gained by a wide receiver. And that was Deebo Samuel when he picked up 53 yards for the San Francisco 49ers. Super Bowl records, that was the only one that was set. However, there were, on the records that were basically tied in the Super Bowl, there were 6. Most touchdowns in one quarter, 2 by Damian Williams for the Chiefs, of course. Most points in the fourth quarter, 21 by was Kansas City. Fewest punt returns game, team, 0, Kansas City. Fewest punt returns game, team, they had no punt returns. Fewest punt return yards, game, both teams, 0, Kansas City versus San Francisco. Fewest fumbles lost, game, both teams, 0, Kansas City versus San Francisco. Most fourth down conversions game, team, 2, Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs are the first NFL team in history to win 3 games, it says here, but after trailing by 10 or more points in a single postseason. I'll repeat that. The Kansas City Chiefs are the first team in NFL history to win 3 games after trailing by 10 or more points in a single postseason. And we have to note that Patrick Mahomes is the first black quarterback, because he's African American. His dad's African American, mom's white. To win a Super Bowl since, you have to go all the way back to, in terms of a victor, well, not that far. Russell Wilson, and with the Seattle Seahawks. And so but given the fact that Russell Wilson won, we have to note that Lamar Jackson was considered to be the favorite to walk into the Super Bowl this year. He didn't do it. And Russell Wilson has won Super Bowl 48. We just played Super Bowl 54, so God, time flies. Russell Wilson won Super Bowl 48. That was against the Broncos and Peyton Manning, when the Seahawks surprised everyone and blew the Broncos out of the building, out of New York. That was 2000, the New York 2012 Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. And let me double check that. So, because I got tickets to that and didn't go. I went to New York to go, and then I sold my ticket. But yeah, that was 2014, excuse me. And yeah, 2014 Super Bowl 48. 48, 49. Wow, time flies. 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. That's 6 years. It's 2013 season. Yeah, that's right, because 2013 season. It gets to the point sometimes you have to really just think about it, because time just can get past you, you know. The attendance at that Super Bowl, by the way, was in New York, was 82,529 people, 82,529. So basically, that Super Bowl attracted 20,000 more people in the cold. It was cold there, in the cold, than in Miami. But also, the attendance for Miami was what it was because the total capacity for the stadium was only 65,000. So it wasn't like they had 70,000 and, you know, couldn't sell the gap, or even that they had 65,000 and couldn't sell, you know, 3,000. They had 65,000 seats available. The NFL went through and took out those seats that they deemed not sellable and came down to the number that was purchased. You would say, why? This is something that the NFL has done for some time regarding sightlines. I had to go through that with the league when I was planning the Super Bowl for Oakland. We ended up eliminating 3,051 seats from the lower bowl of the Coliseum that we had to go through and figure out which ones are going to be sellable versus unsellable. All right, that's typical, because you have people paying a lot of money, as you know, for Super Bowl tickets, far more than the face value. And if they don't get the right seat, they're going to complain. So you have to make sure that in order to mitigate that possibility or eliminate it, you have to choose the right seats that people are going to want to buy and want to send it in anyway. Hence, you come through when that happens. All right. Uh, Lars says, "Thank you, Chiefs. Never thought a Chiefs victory could feel so good. 50 years. The Chiefs have went 50 years without a championship. 50 years. That's that is the definition of long suffering. Um, and so now you have to start thinking about those teams that haven't won a Super Bowl in quite some time, right? Uh, but before we talk about that, let's talk about this one some more and its meaning. It truly is, again, as I said, it's the Super Bowl for. Brandon Billis brings up something. He says, "Remember that issue that Cowboys Stadium had a few years ago? They had to refund money back to several people." Yeah, I do. One of them was my friend Stewie, who uh, was I'm gonna write Cowboys tickets here Zinni 62 because he was one of those people that he actually called me from Dallas, okay, from Dallas with a complaint about these the Cowboys tickets and what was going on. He was one of the 400 that had that problem, and at the stadium. For some particular reason, I can't seem to know. Let's see here, Zinni 62. Find that YouTube. Can't seem to find that. At any rate, he was one of the people that had that problem, and unfortunately, though, he is no longer with us. He had chosen to take his life, and it's very sad because he also attended the Super Bowl with us in Miami in 2006. A lot of fun, But he chose to take his life for reasons having to do with finances, and yeah, and I would say this, if things are getting tough for you, just don't do that. Okay, nothing is so bad that you have to do that. It's very devastating to it's a very sad thing to do to your friends. Okay, let me put it that way. Uh, the people who care about you the most. Because what happened was when I got to Miami, I mentioned his passing, and someone I won't name says, "You know what? That was his choice. Uh, he didn't have to do that, so blank him." And it's not something that I feel. Okay, I don't feel that way. I There are a lot of reasons why people. It's a very sad thing, but at any rate, I found that for those who might be interested in what he's talking about. Hey everyone, Stuart Gusgine and I are part of a group of friends that have gone. His name is Stuart Gusgine, and I'm going to put this on video and play it because I do think it's something that should not be forgotten. And he was one of the people that got caught up in that. What Stewart did was he went to let's see if this on the 8th Super Bowl. Yeah, he went to a this is actually a long. It's 26 minutes. I'm gonna play just part of it for you, okay? But he went to a diner and made a video, and then sent the video to me, okay? So here, this is me talking about it. I'll play it for you right now. Together. Now they've gone to more Super Bowls than that. My other friend Beth has been to. I'm going to fast forward just in the interest of time, but here's where right here. Houston, a bunch of. This is 8 or 9 Super Bowls. Yeah, at least 8 or 9 Super Bowls, but this one. We were New Orleans. Yep, New Orleans. This was 2011. See. What happened? Yep, this was the worst.
It was the worst setup I've ever seen at a Super Bowl. They were short on staff. There was no signage leading people to gates. There wasn't. There was very few gates that were open. Um, People stuck waiting in line 2 hours to get in. Older people who were handicapped had a very difficult time waiting in line to try and get in. And if they weren't in wheelchairs, forget it. You know, if they had canes or walkers or anything like that, they stood in line like every other slob did. It was awful. It was terribly set up. And especially trying to get into the tailgate party. Anybody with tailgate tickets, there was a, you know how normally there's big signage, hey, NFL tailgate at every Super Bowl we're at?
Yeah.
There was a guy who was standing, there was one guy, one step standing in front with one of the tailgate tickets that was maybe 6 inches by 12 inches, holding it above his head saying, this is the only tailgate entrance.
Oh my God.
It was a joke. It was a joke. They screwed up. It was the worst setup.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's that, and I'll put the link so you can look at the rest of it because it is almost a half hour in of itself of Stewie talking about what happened. Stewie, uh, if he had decided to remain with us, most certainly would have been in Miami for this year's Super Bowl with us. He was a friend of Beth's and everything. So, and mine as well as you can tell. All right. So yeah, you mentioned, the during the biz of Flores, you mentioned the issue the Cowboys team had, and yeah, that was one of the people that got their money refund was Stewart right there, and you can hear, and there's the link right there, and you can hear all about it. So yeah, uh, fortunately, the NFL has gotten better. So if you're wondering, by the way, what kind of shirt I'm wearing, um, hey Jesse, this is a shirt, okay? Uh, I got Niners. I got that in Miami as I was coming back. I still got video to present. So let me go back and let's talk about the game some more. And I'll read your reactions and everything else here. So we've got, I wrote here, I've got the final game book. I already have the halftime stats up. The finals that was, of course, look, this is the oddest part of this. You want to see, this is the epitome of a Kansas City game. Look at this. This is San Francisco, Kansas City, right? Look at that. 7-3, 7-3, so it's tied, right? Then Flyers bust out with 10, but then look at that, 21. Boom. Okay. 21. So basically the 49ers gave up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I mean, you can look at it two ways. So you can either say, wow, those Chiefs, man, they're really explosive. They like scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Or you can say, man, those 49ers, they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter. They collapsed. The best defense in the NFL collapsed, which begs the question, was it really the best down the stretch? Uh, if you look at the final statistics in terms of things like, for example, rushing, all right, as a team, the 49ers had a 6.4 yard rushing average, better than the Chiefs' total, which was 4.4 yards. But of that, their main guy, Damian Williams, had 17 rushes for 104 yards. He was averaging 6.1 yards. His longest game was 38. Samuel and the wide receivers matched it. So you could make an argument that, all right, and then not only that, before anybody says, oh, yeah, those Chiefs really rushed better than the 49ers had 141 total yards on the ground versus 129 for the Chiefs. Now, in the air, it was a slightly different story, but not entirely. The 49ers had the edge in the rushing, but not in passing. The Chiefs, 286 yards, but their completion percentage was better. The and the passer rating was better with 78.1 versus 69.2. So Patrick Mahomes down the stretch was more effective. He was slightly more effective. Um, uh, he was 42 of 26 for 286 yards, but Garoppolo was 20 of 31 for 219 yards, and his longest game was 26, whereas Mahomes' longest game was 44 yards. So again, it was the arm, and he was. If you combine the fact that the running game was not that much worse, or then, but in the ballpark in terms of effectiveness with respect to the 49ers, but then the passing, all of that one big play really made up the difference. And so it's the ability for of the Chiefs to strike at the big play as opposed to the 49ers missing the big play showed up as the difference here. Uh, Receiving Debo Samuels was 9 for 5 yards, whereas Tariq Hill was 16 for 16 attempts, 9 receptions, 105 yards. Whereas Samuel was 9 attempts, 9 balls thrown to him, 5 caught, 39 yards. He was the 49ers' best receiver, period. 39 yards total versus Tyreek Hill, 105 yards, 11.7 yard average, 44 yards longest, okay? And then, of course, followed by Kelsey, Watkins, Williams. And if you go down the line, Tyreek Hill's longest game was 44 yards, Kelsey's was 11, Sammy Watkins 38, all right? Um, but the 49ers had more receivers, but the Chiefs had more receivers that made big plays down the stretch. Interceptions, even two apiece. It was a great game. It was a great game. It was it was a game that had it lived up to its billing. And how many times can we say that? It used to be that Super Bowl games were really boring. During the era of the run, it was 3 hours in a cloud of AstroTurf. And in the 80s, it started to get really interesting. And then in the 90s and toward the aughts, they started getting really weird. For example, the Carolina Panthers game against the New England Patriots started off as this boring Super Bowl, and then the fourth quarter exploded with trading touchdowns, and the Patriots prevailed after a patented Tom Brady drive that we get used to in the fourth quarter, right? So much used to that by the time they had the opportunity to do it again against the Eagles in Super Bowl 52, they failed. So Donut says, how much are luxury seats in Miami? You mean the most expensive Super Bowl ticket? I don't know because I don't know what people have paid for luxury boxes. Um, the owners, the way the NFL works, the owners have boxes that they share with each other. For example, historically, Jerry Jones and Al Davis shared luxury boxes at the Super Bowl, and I believe that tradition continued with Mark Davis. But in terms of what they paid, I don't know. And I'm certain there were other boxes that were available, and of course, each of those boxes had guests in them. Some people would have a guest, or Rupert Murdoch you saw was there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was Murdoch's box. It could have been. You have to remember, since the Super Bowl was on Fox not so much had its own box, but they may have had a media box or some other kind of arrangement that caused him to be there. Or on the other hand, maybe he just did buy his own box. After all, he is Rupert Murdoch. He was there. Okay. Point I'm making is that they could have shelled out. I'm reluctant to give a number, but I'll say maybe $50,000 upwards for a box, and then of course there's the per game ticket within the box, right? I'll get a number for you. I'll see if I can get an estimate from someone at the league or someone that's knowledgeable, and get back to you with that. Dean Net says game was okay. How could it have been better? Would you have preferred an overtime contest? I think overtime would have been cool. I really do. I think overtime would have been very cool. And Raider Lou, how you doing? It says the screen name says Lar, but it's Raider Lou here. Hope Miami treated you well, sir. You know, Miami was fun. I did it the way I wanted it to do it. I went in Thursday. I just have a couple of regrets that are personal, um, which I won't get into. But others I've shared already. Like, for example, I didn't get a chance to interview the 49ers at their press conference because of the traffic. I missed the Chiefs press conference because it was early and earlier than the flight that I took. But in terms of what I focused on and planned to do, I did. And I'm very happy with that. I kept my schedule tight, focused, and not encumbered with unnecessary things. I enjoyed South Beach. I had a great Friday night dinner at a place called the Pink Taco with some wonderful, wonderful people who work there. Pink Taco is a lot of fun, and in the perfect craze of the Lizzo movement, as I call it, they had a performer who is basically doing her own Lizzo impersonation, if you can imagine what that looked like. I think I made a video of it because, yes, I did, and I'll post it. I'll post it later. It was hilarious. Still have a lot of material to do, and that's why I'm going to keep it short because I've got a lot of material to post and sleep to get for to start the week. But yeah, Lee Steinberg's Super Bowl party was outstanding, outstanding as usual, and it was great to see many friends. It's like family for me to go there. I also met a kid of Kid and Play, and Deem says, What's next for me since the football season is over?" It is. Football season for me is never over, but since you ask, we have, in terms of vloggers, we have myself. I'll tell you what it is. What's next for me is I'm building Zenny 62 Media, and so I've got some important related activities to my business that are going to be done this week. I've got another pitch deck I've got to send out. I have more client proposals to send out. So, and I've got a brand new one to work on as well for an investor, a potential investor interested. Very excited about that. That came as a result of my trip to Miami. So I'm very excited about that as well. And Dota says XFL is coming. The XFL is coming this year, but don't forget indoor football. The Oakland Panthers are coming this year in May, in March, excuse me. In fact, let's check that. The Oakland Panthers season is upcoming. It's coming up around the corner. So can't sleep on the Oakland Panthers, right? At all. And the Oakland Panthers indoor football league team is the dates are March 14th through June 20th of this year for the Oakland Panthers. So mark your calendar for March if you're in Oakland. Mark your calendar, because there's no XFL in Oakland. Mark your calendar in fact, there's no XFL in the Bay Area. Mark your calendar for March 21st, 2020, 6:05 p.m., Oakland Arena, and tickets are on sale now as I go to that. So if I click on them at Ticketmaster, the Oakland Panthers you can have an Oakland Panthers seat for a price as low as $15.75 each, or let's say $16, right? The best seats are $78 in 116. You got 72 tickets in Club 127 for $26. You've got, let's see, 116. Yeah. Club 116, 76.25 and up There's 76 tickets there. $21 in the end zone lower bowl. So basically, there are no seats available in the upper bowl of the arena. None. So they're all the lower bowl of the Oakland Arena. And that's coming. So that's they range from $15 to $79 per person. That's good. That's cheap. And hey, I would be surprised if they didn't sell out. I really would. I would be surprised if they did not sell out. And so D Ness says Oakland Panthers should start a black hole. I like that. And so other than that, I've got, let's see, I've got to curtail things because of personal issues here, but I need to develop a list of vloggers for people who would be in Indianapolis to cover the combine. And then we have Vegas for the NFL draft coming up. I haven't missed the NFL draft but once. And so we've got, normally I would go to the Oscar party a week from tonight, but I'm not going to do that because I am staying here. And let me put it this way. I need to grow the number of vloggers we have. And these are people who either post on their own, or if I have an assignment, I can pay them up front. And if they're going to be there. Now, I had this happen once with one vlogger who I paid the person up front and they did not attend the event that I asked them to attend. They essentially did that twice. So I've been reluctant to call that person, even though I did give that person stock for what they had done. But the bottom line is that hurts us all. I like to think I can trust a person if I'm paying them up front to be where they say they're going to be. And I don't like to pay anybody at the back end. I like to make sure people have money so they can have enough money to get gas, food, that sort of thing. All right. So anyway, D-Nex says, who would fit in with the Raiders offense or defense? D-Nex, the better question is, to me, is if Tom Brady were to become a Raider, would the Raiders alter their offense for him? And would that include the terminology? Because the Raiders don't run a Ron Erdhart style offense. It's a Bill Walsh based West Coast. It's a Bill Walsh offense, supposed to be. More the type that was molded by Mike Holmgren, and then further molded by folks like Mike McCarthy and Andy Reid. Okay, it's not. The Patriots offense is a more modular offense. Modular meaning that you have these concepts that have their own terms, and you can actually move these concepts around a formation and by verbiage. In other words, you can call out a concept that's over here or over there, and quite literally design a different kind of play with and remold your offense with very little effort. It's a pretty cool approach and philosophy. Whereas the Walsh offense consists of full plays, okay, and the plays have sight adjustments and everything within them, but that play, that system, and the Patriots, to be sure, have full plays as well, but they also have different elements of play, like different receiver groupings and formations that might come with, or patterns that might come with it, and so on. So John Collins says Raiders still haven't told JPA they're not playing. As far as as far as I know, they haven't. I put another call a few days ago when I was in Miami. I haven't heard anything back. I'm gonna call again tomorrow and redouble check, but it's definitely quiet. the stadium is advancing. True. In fact, you know what? One thing though, I never checked was the Las Vegas weather. Let's see, check Las Vegas weather, and it's 60 degrees, 70 right now. It was 70. It was 49. Supposed to be 49 on Monday, Tuesday. There's a high wind warning. The winds southwest to west are 35 miles per hour to Jesus Christ. All right. There is a Nevada high wind warning. Southwest to west winds 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour with gusts over 60 miles per hour. Very dangerous driving conditions for travelers along Interstate 15, where the stadium is located, Highway 95, and the Western 215 Beltway. That's what I'm reading here. A high wind warning in Nevada. And it says where all of Clark County and southern Nye County, including Las Vegas, and it lasts until 6 p.m. Monday. So let's see what the stadium looks like having said that. Because winds as high as 60 miles per hour. Wow. I mean, that is your nephew saying it's trouble on the job site the way it's going. You know, I was talking with Larry Beal about that situation, and this rush to make things look like they're better than they really are, I think is a very sad approach in the 21st century when everything is on camera. Okay, so I'm looking down the stadium. There are several high cranes up, and it just so happens now you have this wind issue. Let me see what the view one. Let me see what the interior view is like. Interior view is pretty. They have the tarps installed on one end of the stadium for their seats, and they have the seats installed up there on this side. This is what I'm looking at here. Okay, on this side. All right. So they're progressing with the seats, as you can see over there, but not quite over here. However, and they still have a long, long way to go down here, a very long way to go. And they're pulling the roof tighter. It looks like so you can see now that they started to really pull on this roof and work on fastening it, okay? But this is still also a very long way to go because you get of these bins, and I'm not referring to I'm talking about the upper part, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, all right. So as we know, it's a long way to go. They have a high wind advisory, and the stadium, I think, is enough along in its construction so that the high wind advisory should be less of a concern. Hopefully. Okay, hopefully. All right? Hopefully. Hopefully. Okay. Let me go back to your questions. And when Tom Brady was in his stadium, Tom Brady was in Foxborough Stadium. And it's said that the Raiders will pursue him, go for him. I have a hard time believing. I have a hard time believing that. Hey, John Marks, how you doing? I have a hard time believing that the Patriots will let Tom Brady go just like that. I don't think that the Patriots are going to let Tom Brady just walk out of the door. They're going to make him a Patriot for life. I don't think they're going to do that to him unless there's something really wrong that maybe I don't know about, or what haven't paid much attention to by reading anybody's book. John Akala asks, can or will the NFL make Raiders change back to Oakland Raiders if they start the season in Oakland? That's a good question. I tend to think that they will have two faces. They will have the Las Vegas Raiders for Las Vegas business and the Oakland Raiders for Raiders business in Oakland. I think that's the logical way to go right now, because you quite literally have to serve two masters, right? I don't think there's any currency to be gained by calling them uh, the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland, or the Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas. When in Las Vegas, when in Rome, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you're in Oakland, you're Oakland. If you're Las Vegas, you're Las Vegas. You can do that as if you're some sort of franchise. I think that's the logical way to play that. So, in fact, if you want to get really technical, the Raiders really have two companies. All right. Big B says the Super Bowl commercials are pretty funny. Yeah, I like the one where you had the Charmin character, the bear, and everybody playing together. That was a cool one. But there wasn't really, to be honest with you, other than that one, a commercial that stuck out to me where I was just like, oh yeah, this is it. I think because I was looking for, like, I saw Quiet Place too, but I was looking for Godzilla. I was hoping that there would be the Godzilla versus Kong commercial. I mean, the Super Bowl, in terms of ads, just didn't seem like the Super Bowl ads without something like that. I will tell you, however, that what was really cool, aside from the ads, was the halftime show. That was the sexiest, hottest, most PG-13 rated Super Bowl halftime show I've ever seen in my entire life, and that, except the nip slip at the 2004 Super Bowl, which, by the way, I did attend in Houston. This one, you had Shakira with the thong, and doing the thing with the lips, and you had J Lo, who's buff, by the way. You see the guns on her; she was working out, man. J Lo was hot, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Oh, I mean, it was a celebration of Latin culture as it's expressed in Miami. Which I said this before, I'll say it again. I love Miami. Miami, for the most part, save for the airport, was excellent Super Bowl host. And what I didn't like about the airport was they didn't have enough people telling you where to go. Uh, the moving sidewalks didn't work, which was really bad. But the people were friendly. And when you got into also, everything was spread out. All right, you've got, I mean, everything. So I'm gonna let that one go. Everything is spread out. Okay. So Dean, that says, his Matthew says that they're so far behind. All right. Tell you about the stadium issue. Okay. And let me get some of your comments, and I'm gonna work on getting out of here to go to bed. Chaos Raider says, if Brady does come to the Raiders, do you believe they will draft a quarterback so they can learn from, like Mahomes did with Smith? Chaos Raider, that's a really great question. I think that's the best question of the night, and I think it's one worthy of taking up. Here's why. Because if the Raiders do bring in Brady and they then draft another quarterback, how do you justify keeping Carr? Right? I mean, you'd have to. What would you do with Derek Carr? And then the other question is why. Um, you used Derek Carr as the face of the franchise. You had Derek Carr at MGM for the unveiling of the Raiders Vegas name, right? Las Vegas Raiders. Why would you then do that? I'm not ready to say the Raiders are going to do that. I think that I think the better situation for the Raiders would be, I mean, they already brought in Josh Allen, right? So you have the young quarterback. So you've got Josh Allen, you got Derek Carr on the roster. So it doesn't make any sense to do that. You got, again, It doesn't make any sense to do that at all. Uh, at all, in terms of the roster. In fact, think about it. If you bring in Derek Carr, you got a crowded situation. Brady can mentor Carr. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I suppose he could, because Derek Carr is there. But then, of course, you have that's in terms of the roster. You have Marcel Aitman, Perfect. I thought they just signed a quarterback depth chart. And Zay Jones, Colton Miller, left tackle. Quarterback is, I guess they didn't, because you have Derek Carr, Deshaun Kaiser, and Mike Glennon. And I thought they were going to sign the Josh. I guess that didn't work out. Let me see something. Josh Allen. Uh, let's see here. Josh Allen. Raiders. Let's see here. Because I thought, see, Raiders quarterback. Maybe what I saw was really just an echo. And because the latest is that the Oakland Raiders will be leading the Vegas Raiders will be leading the way in pursuit of Tom Brady should he not resign with the Patriots. And he's giving a lot of hint, but then he says, he does this commercial, this Hulu commercial. He says, I'm not going anywhere. He said that. He said, I'm not going anywhere. All right. And my mom said, does that mean he's going to stick with the Patriots? My mom is a really smart football watcher. Okay. And then it's other people who are finding, landing spots for Derek Carr if they, to trade him. Okay. So right now they have Deshaun Kaiser. There's no Josh. They have Deshaun Kaiser on the depth chart at quarterback. Derek Carr, Deshaun Kaiser, and Mike Glennon. So bringing in Tom Brady would spell a wholesale alteration of quarterback. Okay, wholesale. Jay says, meaning he's staying in football. I think it means he's staying with the Patriots. I think he wants to test the Patriots to find out how much they're willing to give him as a free agent. I do. I don't think he's ready to just leave. Especially, let me put it this way. Given the way the Patriots finished their season, why would Tom Brady just walk out on them like that? Why would he leave with unfinished business like that? As opposed to if he won the Super Bowl, right? Okay? Yeah, if he won the Super Bowl. And yeah, John, Nathan Perlman's not on the roster. I thought Nathan was injured. But let me get back to my point with Brady. If Brady won the Super Bowl this year, let's say if the Patriots wound up in the Super Bowl against the 49ers, as it looked like it might be for quite a while, and won, I could see a case where Brady said, I've conquered this enough. I want to try something new. But even then, the question would be, why would Tom want to just leave the Patriots rather than giving it yet another go and going out on top that way rather than going to another team and running the risk of being an also-ran? I think Tom Brady leaving the Patriots with the idea that he could do as well someplace else would be the ultimate arrogance of ability. And I say that because Tom Brady gained his ability in the Belichick system. He gained his expertise in the Belichick system. I don't think Tom Brady can go anywhere and win without having that system in place. Just like when Joe Montana went to the Chiefs, Joe Montana didn't just go to the Chiefs. He went to the Chiefs with Paul Hackett as the offensive coordinator, who had worked under Bill Walsh and knew the basics of that system as it was ran at that time. Okay. So Montana was able to bring his own personal knowledge of the system, meld that with Paul Hackett, and be effective. But all right, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. I don't I don't think Tom Brady wants to go out that way. That's just my hunch. But I don't believe Tom Brady wants to go out that way. Okay, and I mean I know I'm wondering what you guys would think, but and um, Chaos says if the Patriots do pay him a lot of money, will they be able to have enough weapons for him? Look, that gets back to me, what is the magic question? Are weapons drafted or created? I argue that you can create a weapon under certain schematic conditions as much as draft one. That said, there are a number of weapons to be drafted and gotten by trade. Uh, the Broncos struck gold with Cortland Sutton, the man that I told the Raiders they should draft. I directly told Reggie McKenzie that 2 years ago. Uh, didn't draft him, and hey, he's an effective receiver for the Broncos, completely so. Uh, Look at AJ Brown and the damage that AJ Brown did to a number of defensive secondaries in the league this past season as a rookie from Ohio State. So, game-breaking wide receivers can be created as much as they're drafted. AJ Brown could have had suffered the misfortune of going with a team that wasn't as ready to use him uh, in the way that made him the most effective. He went to the Titans, who were smart enough to employ him as a speedy, big, bruising wide receiver downfield that was arguably the receiving equivalent to Derrick Henry as running back. Okay, a guy that you didn't want to cover because you'd have a hard time tackling him. And yeah, Josh Jacobs I like too. I felt that, however, Josh was misused by John, and Josh should have been Mr. Outside, and the Raiders should have had Mr. Inside as a fullback in a two-gap back system. I think if they had employed Josh Jacobs the way I'm describing, Josh would not have been injured. I really believe that. All right, folks, it is 2:07. I'm going to bid everybody adieu, and I will see you tomorrow night. Okay. Thanks again, and good night. I'll see you. Take care. Okay, see you.